After I farmed 30 divines with Heist during the first day of Affliction League, a lot of people have been asking me how good exactly Heist is after the changes. And also people are wondering how rare are all of the bases, so for example Simplex Amulet. So because of this I decided that my first test of this league is going to be Heist. So what I did is I ran 150 blueprints. Also, I decided to do it on not super optimized setup. My character has a little bit less than 300% movement speed, and also I was dying from time to time. I would say around 5 to 10% of blueprints or contracts I did fail, and also my follower items are not the best. But that's done on purpose because I wanted to see how good is Heist as an entry-level strategy, and then I am probably at some point gonna do another test where I'm gonna have a crazy character with crazy equipment on my followers, and I'm gonna see how far I can push Heist as a strategy. Okay, so let's start with the character I used for Heist. And to be honest, you don't really need any specific character, you just want to have as much movement speed as possible. So like I said, my character has a little bit less than 300%. I'm not even using Queen of the Forest or the 7 League Steps. There's a lot of movement speed that I still can gain. Yes, I am using Mage Blood, but it's only 2 flasks, and also you can just remove it and just use your flask normally, and you still can get way more movement speed than this, even without the Mage Blood. The Ascendancy I would 100% recommend for running Heist as an entry level would be a Raider, not Pathfinder, because Raider gives you perma phasing and perma onslaught. But because I am not playing Raider, I am getting phasing from this jewel. So you have phasing while you are affected by haste, so that's why I'm using haste and grace. But because of this, I can't run determination, so I am quite squishy, so that's why I was dying from time to time. But I also went for iron reflexes, so my evasion is converted to armor for some more consistency when it comes to defense. If you're wondering about this tree, I actually would not recommend copying it, but in my Discord there is my POB of my Toxic Rain Raider that I did use during the day 1 of the league, and I actually was dying less. I probably should have respect into that build, but I already sold some of the pieces of gear that I had in there, so I just didn't feel like replacing a lot of gear that I have in here. Now for the strategy, so how did I run my blueprints and contracts? I did scour all of them, so I was running them white. And for the first test, what I did is I just ran 100 blueprints without running any contracts. So how can you do that? You can just buy a bunch of blueprints. Right now they go for between 8 and 10 chaos in bulk. And you just go to the planning room and you can immediately just plan whatever is in here. So here I would choose tips, let's say Nanette and Karst, and blueprint is ready. You don't have to reveal anything. Yes, this is going to be just one wing, but because of this, you don't have to run any contracts. You're still gonna have to pay a little bit of markers just to start the blueprint, but that's how you can run blueprints without running any contracts. Yes, you're gonna have to buy a lot more blueprints this way, and it's gonna be probably a little bit higher investment, and you're not also not gonna have a lot of good rooms revealed. Like for example here you can see there's only 2 out of 4 currency and 0 out of 3 divination, so yes, I'm losing a lot on currency, but this way you can do way more blueprints per hour, so you can just get more the end reward rooms. And for the second test I did 50 blueprints, but I also did run 50 counter contracts. And the reason why I chose counter is because deception are very expensive. They go for like 10 to 11 chaos. So I wanted to do something cheaper, and these are still pretty fast. And to run them with Jayana, you actually can only run them up to level 4. And that's with the equipment on Jayana. It is this one that gives +1 level to all jobs. Normally she has level 3. With this she has level 4. So you can run all of the counter contracts with level maximum 4. And after that, I had 50 reveals of Jayana and 50 reveals of Wakano. So what I did is I was revealing one room with the best rewards. For example, here I probably would go for probably this one. It doesn't really matter. This one has 1 currency, this one has 1 currency. I would only look at currency and the divination. So this is not the best example. Maybe look at another one. This one has 1 currency, 1 divination. This one has also 1 and 1, and this one has 2 currency. I would prioritize more divination. So I probably would go for 1 here. and then I would use Wakano reveal. I don't have one right now, but I would reveal one room because I also would have the same amount of Wakano and Gianna reveals. So here I would just probably reveal this room, and then I would plan it just like with this one. Okay, so just to summarize, I did 2 tests. One test was 100 blueprints with just immediately planning them, so that was 100 wings. And the second one was also 100 wings, but only with 50 blueprints and 50 contracts. And now let me show you how I was running the blueprints. So I'm just gonna start this one. So what I would do is I would start with looking at how many special rooms there are that are pretty good rewards. Like for example here there are 4 currency reward chests, so I would start with opening them. And then if I still had any alert level left, I would also go for some of the other ones or small chests. And for the other remaining ones, the ultimatum rewards are decent, the map rewards are pretty good, and essence ones. Also Harbinger, to be honest, most of them are decent. I would just not go for the armor, jewelry. Gems can be good, you sometimes drop stack of gem cutters, but most of the time you don't really get anything, so most of the time I would skip them. And I would go here for the second room. In this one I actually am gonna have a lot of alert level left, but that's fine. If you are in this position and you have still few small chests on your way, I would probably open them, like this one, there is one in here. But if I would have to go back to open, let's say these ones, I would not do it. And then, of course, I go for the end reward, and then I check what do I have in here. And most of the time there's gonna be like one thing that you can pick, like 15 scours or chaos or something like that, but sometimes there's gonna be nothing. And most of them are gonna be just some useless replicas. So this one is pretty bad, this one's pretty bad, this one's pretty bad, this one is also bad. There is one enchanted item, but it's also not worth anything. So for this one I would just skip it and I would not pick anything. I can still get some currency from the saves. And on my way back, if I still have some alert, then I would pick up some of the remaining chest. So here I could go for this gem chest. Let's see if I'm gonna get any gem cutters. And I didn't get anything. So like I said, usually it's not worth it to go for them. And then I would pick up some small chests. I think if I had actually much faster character and I was doing it much faster, I would not pick up any of these small chests. Then I don't think it would be worth it. If you have pretty slow character, then yeah, I would also go for the small chests. And that's how I was doing all of my blueprints and contracts. Actually, contracts, I would skip all of the small chests. In contracts, I would only pick up the currency and divination card rewards, and I would just rush for the end just so I can get all of my reveals as fast as possible. And now let's look at all of the rewards that I got. So most of the profit I actually think came from the stacked decks. As you can see, there is quite a lot of them. This is the stash from when I was doing blueprints and contracts. So there should be a little bit more rewards because I was also revealing one extra room in each blueprint. So I believe there is around 670 stacked decks in here. There's some random stuff. There's actually quite a lot of things like Divination Scarab, because you do get them from the Divination chests. Some fossils, a lot of essences, quite a lot of essences because you do get a lot of them from the small chests. And catalysts come from the ultimatum rewards. I did get 3 tempering orbs, 3 tailoring, which go for around 50 and I believe 30 chaos right now. And I did get 2 bases of rings, 2 rare bases. I got ratcheting ring and cogwork ring, and unfortunately these are pretty bad ones. So let's look at the cogwork ring, and right now it is worth somewhere around 40-50 chaos, and the ratcheting is only 10 chaos, so they are not really worth that much. And here is some all of the other currency that I got from this test. So quite a lot of chaos orbs, some random currency, and I got 6 divines, 3 annals, and 6 exalts. Some of them did drop from the chests, and some of them are from the end reward. And here is a stash with all of the bases, 6 links, and replicas that I had, and I was selling them. So just to show you what was in this stash, this is what I had. There was 3 scepters. I've actually found 1 Alberon Warpath, 1 trinket that I sold for like 20 chaos, and few sixlings. So the reason why I sold them first is just I wanted to see if they actually sell. And here is all of the currency that I got from selling them, and I'm still selling 2 chests. I believe this one is a little bit better, this one, because it is a 6-link. This one is not a 6-link, but this one is item level 86, but this one has the explicit defense modifier. So both of them are between 1 to 2 divines, and they still haven't sold. And here is the second test. So here's the currency that I got from the test with 100 blueprints, but without any contracts. I got a little bit more unlucky on divines. I only found 3, and as you can see, way less currency, but that's probably because I was not revealing 1 additional room. So just to compare, here's the currency stash from the blueprints and contracts, and here is just blueprints. And here are all of the other rewards, also again less stacked decks, and I actually found only 3 tempering orbs and 0 tailoring orbs. And here are all of the bases and so on. And again, just to show you what I had here before, there were 2 Soul Tether belts. I also found 1 replica Alberon Warpath, and I also found Ember Wake and 1 Badge of Brotherhood. And I do have some 6-link, but I didn't find any of the scepters. So here's all of the currency for that. And here's all of the stuff that I did not count as a profit. So quite a lot of like cheap cards that if I get some full sets, it would be some additional currency, but I don't have full sets yet. And some maps, plus some incubators and some random splinters and fragments. So I did not include them in the results. So now let's look at the spreadsheet. So let's start with the just blueprints. So without running any contracts, I bought 100 of them for 10 chaos, and I had to use 60,000 markers for the opening of the blueprints. So in total, it was 7.6 divines. Actually, I should change it. It's 170 now. Prices went up. So it is a little bit less than 7 divines investment, and it took me 4.5 hours to run all of them. Most of the profit, as you can see in here, came from the currency and the stacked decks, but I also got some other random loot like bases, tailoring and tempering orbs, and just some random catalysts and so on. So in total, I did make 17 divines, so it is a little bit less than 4 divines per hour. So it's actually nothing too crazy. Then when we look at the blueprints and contracts, it took me a little bit longer because I had to do contracts. Investment, again, have to correct this, 6 divines, and that's because I was running less blueprints, but I also had to use more markers and 50 contracts. So overall, a little bit cheaper. And in terms of profit, way more profit from stack decks and currency, and still some profit from tailoring, tempering orbs, bases, and random loot. So in total, I made 27 divines, which is 5 divines per hour. So it is a bit better. But to be honest, I think sample size for this is not the best. You probably need to run hundreds of blueprints to actually know the averages, because as you can see in this stash, I did drop 6 divines in here, and in here I only found 3. And also you can clearly see the difference in tempering and tailoring orbs. I got 3 more, and here I also found these 2 bases, and these I didn't find anything, even though they are not worth that much. And when it comes to these bases, I do believe there is 2 amulets. One of them is Simplex, which is the expensive one. Right now Simplex amulets go for around 50 divines per, if you sell them splitted. So if you find Simplex amulet, you can split it into 2, so basically make 100 divines because you can sell 2 of them. Then there is also the Helical ring, which I believe goes for between 6 and 10 divines. And there's also the Distillery belt, which goes for around 3 divines. So these are the 3 most expensive bases. But in total, there is 2 amulets, 2 belts, and I think 5 or 6 rings. So there is around 9 or 10 rare bases, so jewelry bases, and most of them are not worth that much. And since I did 200 wings and I only found 2 of these bases, for now my sample size tells me that they do drop around 1 every 100 wings. And I also talked to some people and I asked how many simplex amulets they found and how many blueprints they run. And someone told me he ran 1000 and he didn't find a single one. Someone told me he ran 500 wings and he found one of them. And someone did 400 and didn't find a single one. So if you are wondering how often do they drop, it's probably gonna take you around 1000 to find one, maybe even more if you are unlucky. And if you are running Heist, please let me know in the comments what is your sample size, did you find any of them, how many belts you found, how many helical rings you found, and so on. Because the way I believe it works is that there is probably around 10 of these rare bases, and most of them probably have the same weighting. Maybe Simplex Amulet has a little bit lower, so every time you see one of these bases, it could have been one of the other one, you just got unlucky and you got the wrong one. But like I said earlier, I am probably gonna repeat this test, but I'm gonna do it on a character that is way better, with way better follower gear. And also, in case you are wondering what follower gear, I was just going for job speed and that's basically it. And one Gianna item had +1 to level of all jobs. That's basically it. So that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.